Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Tomorrow, as of the time of this posting, tomorrow is the start of Season 2 of The Witcher on Netflix. Something I've been really excited about, something I've really been looking forward to. So in honor of that, what we are taking a look at today is McFarlane Toys' The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt series, Eredin Bréacc Glas. And I probably didn't put as much inflection on some of that as I should have, but what we have is the King of the Wild Hunt, of course from his appearance in the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt video game. Now, I don't know if he's going to appear in Season 2. That would be really awesome if he did, but I don't think we've built up that far yet. But I like this figure. This was the second figure that McFarlane came out with for the Witcher series after the first Geralt figure. And we have a few new ones that came out, a few different looks at Geralt. We have Ciri that came out, and coming down the line, it looks like we have some figures from the Witcher TV show of Geralt, Joxer, and Yennefer, and I think there was a young Ciri. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But we have more from McFarlane coming out for The Witcher, and I'm really excited about that, because sometimes McFarlane, he'll bring out some figures for a line, and then it'll just stop. Like, sometimes he doesn't see things through all the way. So I'm really glad that there's more coming out for The Witcher. Now, taking a look at the box, the packaging for McFarlane Toys is always very, very Spartan in its appearance, that it really lets, like, the figure inside speak for itself. And they still do that with the Witcher series, but I like the packaging. I like the design of the front window. I like the textured look of the cardboard and the designs on it. I really like that. On the side, we even have like some die cutting windows in there, and up top too. So I really like what they do with the Witcher packaging. And on the box, on the back, of course, we have that promotional shot of the figure. No cross-sell, because at the time the only other one was Geralt. With the new ones coming out, we'll probably see a cross-sell on back. And on the bottom, it's legal, and the barcode. So, McFarlane Toys and CD Projekt Red, of course, the company that put out The Witcher 3, which is also getting a next-gen update. The update, I think, is coming at the beginning of 2022. I know that got pushed back, but there's also some DLC that's coming out soon that I'm looking forward to. I hope the DLC comes out fairly soon. I would love to get more of The Witcher. So let's just finish the rambling. Let's get Eredin Bréacc Glas, King of the Wild Hunt, out of the package, and we will take a look at him. Okay, friends, here he is, Eredin Bréacc Glas, out of the packaging. And before we go any further, I have to get this out of my system, because every time I see him, even when I saw him in the video game, there was one thing that just kept popping into my head. There must always be a Lich King. So now, taking a look at him, the first thing we'll do is we'll put the tape measure to him. We'll see how he measures up. Being a McFarlane, he should come in, McFarlane toy, he should come in at 7 inches tall. And to the top of his head, he is about 7, maybe 7.25, and to the top of his helmet spikes, he is 7.5 inches tall. So he has some presence. Not only is he a tall figure, he definitely has some presence on the shelf. So let's get a closer look at him. We'll look at articulation. We'll look at sculpt and paint. Okay, here we go. Starting with the head, we will see that the head can kind of look up. He can look down. His hair gets in the way of him looking up completely. There's not a whole lot of tilt. Well, maybe there's more tilt there than I thought there was. And he can do a full 360. But once again, this hair kind of gets in the way whenever you try to do any side-to-side stuff. It sort of forces his chin down. Now his arms, this arm will come up to 90. This one, the cape is actually soft material. It's still heavy, but it's very soft. So you can kind of get the arm up to the same height, but the cape eventually, I feel like, is going to want to push it back down. Although it looks like the detents are actually doing a pretty good job of keeping it up right now. We have a 360 at the arm. We have a single jointed elbow that comes up to there. And we have a hinge and swivel at the elbow. But we also see from this bare arm, because this one is covered, we also see from this one that there is a bicep swivel in there. It's not going to hold right. There is a bicep swivel in here that isn't working quite right, but trust me. There we go. See that? That swivel works, but there's also the hinge and swivel at the elbow. Let's put his arm back down, let that cape down. Now he has the McFarlane swivel pivot hinge pivot wrists that you can put them down, do that. So they'll go up and down, or you can turn them and they'll go in and out. So I like that. Now here, I really like what they do with the wrists. I wish more companies did something like this with the wrists. Instead of being relegated to either up and down or in and out, you can have a full rotation in them. Now you can see right here in the armor that he has an ab cut right there, so he can turn. It's not much of a crunch to look down or look back. But something that I find interesting is this piece right here, this is all soft rubber. There's nothing solid in there. And it looks like there might just be, like, even underneath here, this is all soft. And it feels like there might just be a stem in there, because you can turn him at the waist as well. Not as much as the ab crunch. You can turn him at the waist, but he really cranks forward, and he can really crank back, and you can hear that he clicks and has some side-to-side rock in there. So I like that. That's really cool too. That this is all soft, and the rubber will bend as you need it, which we're about to see with the feet, or with the legs rather. Let me get the tassels out of the way, because the legs will come all the way up, but you can see that the plastic pushes in on the rubber so that the crotch piece doesn't really get in the way. So when the legs come up out to the sides there, and then when they come forward all the way, and you can see it's pushing the rubber back as well. And also when the leg goes back all the way, it's pushing the rubber. But then when you put it down to the neutral position, you gotta kind of, there you go, work it back out. But there's even detailing on that soft rubber right there with like the gray stripes. And that's cool too. So we also have, instead of a traditional thigh cut, that it sort of pivots right in there. And it's not a horrible amount of range, but it's not as much as if it was just like a traditional thigh cut. But I also like how it's hidden by these really high armored boots. And once again, with this being soft rubber, you can bring the leg up to the side. It pushes in, and you can get full range out of that. So that is cool. He has single jointed knees that only come to there. No hinge and swivel at the knee. No boot cut either. But the ankles twist, and the ankles go back, the ankles go forward, forward-facing pin for a rocker, and his toe articulation. Whoop, his toe articulation right there. And I like how with the armor coming down to the sides right here, it's really hiding the articulation of the ankle, and it looks seamless almost. Like when you put the ankle back that far, you can start to see the ball joint in there. But any other position that you put it in, it's almost seamless with the way that the articulation works. Now looking at Sculpt and Paint App, let's just get this out of the way first. I am not a fan of this red color for the undercoating for his armor and the majority of the coloring of the figure. And that's nothing against McFarlane. This is the video game's choice. This was The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This is how he was portrayed in the video game. But truthfully, I wasn't a big fan of the coloring there either. I just wish it would have been, if they were going to go red, I wish it would have been red and not this sort of, I don't know, like almost salmon colored red. But that's just me personally. So that's nothing against the figure. That's just me. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I do love the weathered gold look of all of his armor. How like at one point this might have been shiny and new and gold. And you can see in the helmet right here, in the detailing of the helmet, that is all starting to flake away. The gauntlets that probably would have seen a lot of battle are starting to fade as well. And the golden rib cage and his shoulder pad up here, it's all pitted and dented and marred and just shows a great amount of wear and tear. And then down here, I love these big knee pads. I love these big knee pads that do great for hiding the articulation of the figure. And then down to the darker colored boots. The Sculpt and the Paint app on this, as we've come to expect from McFarlane, is really good. Because let's face it, Sculpt, especially when he first started doing figurines and collectibles and statues, Sculpt was one thing that his company was definitely known for. And the blackness of his eyes is great. Like, they do, like, that is black. They are just empty voids. And that looks fantastic. Over here on his shoulder, all of these little spiky things are soft rubber, so they won't break. They'll bend, they'll move out of the way. You might have to reset them every once in a while, but they won't snap off. Same thing with his ribs, the ribs on the armor right here. These are all very soft, very pliable, so that every once in a while you might have to reset them or heat them up and mold them back into position, but they're not going to break off, and that's the important thing. His shoulder cape right here suitably looks textured and weathered and beaten up, and just that it has seen hundreds and hundreds of years of ice and frost. I like this. I like this a lot. I almost wish they would have done this with some spotted, some ripped texturing to match this, because this, to me, looks too new compared to the rest of the figure. But once again, that might just be me. You might be okay with that. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more wear on this piece right here. You have his hair coming down that just looks really lush and luxurious. And it's very, to me, it's a very interesting contrast that this isn't gray or brittle. This is a full head of elven hair coming down, and then compared to all of the weathering and the beat-upness of everything else in here. And for this, like I showed you, being a very rubbery piece, this holds its shape well and was sculpted very well as well. You have your tassels here. Even the tassels, you can see the ends are ripped and frayed. And this one is like cut in. This one is cut in. That's what I mean. Like, this just looks too new compared to the rest of the figure. And the ones on the back are suitably worn, weathered, and ripped as well. And I love the spine on this. I really like the look of this guy. Going for accessories, like all McFarlane figures, he comes with a figure stand, which is something I really appreciate whenever companies do something like this. This probably doesn't cost them much, but it's huge to a collector. And of course, it has the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt tampoed on it, as all of the stands are fitted to whatever franchise they come with. And his only other accessory, of course, is this big meat cleaver of a greatsword. And this thing is just big and intimidating. And once we get it next to him, you're going to see it's like half the size of the figure. One thing that I really like about this, let's get this focused in, is that this part of the blade is not very pliable, the main part of the blade here. But when you get to the tip, which will probably be seeing the most action, the tip is much more flexible and bendable, so that the blade won't snap, the sword won't snap. And I really like how the coloring of the blade matches his armor, and even the wrap on the hilt, the handle matches the undercoating. Now, the one thing that I did have an issue with is that his hands are actually, especially for a McFarlane figure, his hands are actually really stiff. So trying to get it in there, the only thing that really moves is the thumb. And trying to get it down in there, I was actually worried I might break the hand at first. But then you do get it down, and once you get it in there, he's got a grip on it, and he just looks so intimidating whipping this thing around. Let's face it, though. If there were, The Witcher 3 did not lack for giant swords. So here he is with McFarlane Toys, Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn, and of course Geralt of Rivia from the same collection. And as you can see, he is taller than Geralt, and I really like that because it just gives him even more presence. He's about on the eye line of Spawn is taller than him, but I think McFarlane tends to make Spawn big no matter what line it is. Here he is with more McFarlane toys, the DC Multiverse, Azrael, and Wonder Woman from Wonder Woman 1984. And I'm starting to realize that there's not a whole lot of consistency through McFarlane's sizing, because Diana is 6 foot tall, Azrael is supposed to be 6'4", yet in here, Diana is taller than Azrael. Here he is with Lanyard Toys, City Hunter Predator, and Xenomorph Drone. Here he is with Hasbro Marvel Legends, Captain Marvel, and Psylocke from the Nimrod 3-pack. Here he is with Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified, Cobra Trooper, and Destro. And, of course, here he is with Jazzwares Wicked Cool Toys, Spartan Collection, Master Chief, and Cat. Arthas, my son. So we have another win from McFarlane Toys. And I don't say that lightly, because honestly, I think that McFarlane is really knocking it out of the park with some of the lines that he has. Other ones, I don't think is a really good fit for his specific aesthetic or for the look, the design of his figures. Witcher, however, I think is right in his ballpark. And I was a big fan of Geralt when I got my hands on him. I like the other Geralts that are coming out with the different accessories and the different armors. I really like our King of the Wild Hunt here, Eredin Bréacc Glas. And if you are a fan of The Witcher, if you're collecting McFarlane's Witcher series, you definitely need this guy. Like, this is the bad guy right now. This is the bad guy that we have right now for the Witcher series. And he fits very well with the rest of the line. And I'm hoping he's going to fit in with the Netflix series figures once they finally come out. That I think the whole line, whether it's video game or whether it's the series, you'll be able to mix and match. I'm really looking forward to getting Ciri. I think I'm getting her for Christmas, so I'm really looking forward to that. The Ciri from the video game. And like even Joxer and Yennefer, once we get those for the Netflix collection, I think is going to really, really help to start fill out this collection. And I'm excited about that because McFarlane does have this habit of starting a collection, but then not really following through with it or not giving you all the figures you need to round out the collection. So with this, I'm really glad to see that we'll be getting more. I'm also really excited, obviously, that the series starts tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, Season 1 I've watched so many times, and each episode is kind of like a mini movie in and of itself. And Henry Cavill as Geralt is just knocking it out of the park. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that. I love the whole cast. I think the cast is solid. I'm especially interested to see Ciri's character get fleshed out more in Season 2 and what they're going to do with Yennefer and that whole thing. And I'm just really hyped about that. Of course, in my hype for The Witcher, I completely forgot that Spider-Man is opening as well. That as of the date that this goes up, it's Thursday. The movie is supposed to premiere on Friday, but I know some movie theaters around me are doing 6 p.m. showings tonight. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll go see it. Maybe I won't. I'm more hyped about this. So, whether you want The Witcher, whether you want Spider-Man, you're going to have a little bit of everything this coming weekend. Plus, we got The Matrix coming down the line, and then Book of Boba Fett, and then Peacemaker starts in January. So there's a whole lot of goodness coming down the line. So once we consume all of that, we'll be back. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.